And today on the Leader Fitness podcast, we have Nichelle Laus. Nichelle, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So I wanted to start off, maybe so the listeners get to know you a little bit more, and maybe a little bit about your past and what you're all about now.
Sure. Well, do you have about 10 minutes?
We have as long as you want.
I'm just kidding. I'm just a very busy girl.
Oh, okay.
Um, well, I guess a little bit about my background. Health and fitness has really been a huge part of my life ever since I was, a teenager, let's say. I was always involved in some sort of sport, and I was actually an amateur boxer and kickboxer for several years. I retired I think I was about 30 when I retired. And that's because I started having kids and I just found the schedule for training for fights was really difficult. And flexibility is really key for me, especially, with that lifestyle. I now have four boys. Their ages range, oh, they're growing so big, but they're ranging now from 7 to 14. And so, yeah, I really love to be flexible. So, when I stopped kickboxing, I then got into fitness competitions. So I really like the element of competition, but that by training for competitions like those, it gave me some flexibility because I can do the training on my own schedule. So that
Mhm.
really helped in that way. Once I started kind of, delving into the fitness industry, it kind of, I don't know, I found this passion for it because I wanted to know more. I wanted to know more about these changes happening in my body because I was athletic all my life, but you know, I never got, you know, to transform, I guess you can say, my body to that point. When we were boxing, it was always like you just had to make weight. So however you made the weight, that was fine, as long as you showed
Mhm.
up and, you had your boxing skills to kind of rely on. But with competitions, there's so much more involved. It was, proper nutrition or, really clean nutrition. And you got your body down to, a real state of leanness. Of course, you can't sustain that for a long time. But the whole process just really intrigued me. So I started, really developing my skills. And, at the time I was a police officer. I was a police officer for 15 years. And so being on the force, I mean, I was always, I always loved to ensure I was fit because you never know at any given time, what call you're going to get on, or I just always wanted to be, ready for action, I guess.
Mhm.
And why I say that is because when I started doing the competitions and feeling really really good, a lot of my colleagues would come up to me and say, how are you doing this? You know the old expression. At first they ask you why you're doing it, but then they'll ask you how, and that's pretty much exactly what happened to me. So everyone started asking me. How I was doing it and can I train them? And at the time I said, well, I can't train you. I don't know what I'm doing. I just follow my coach's orders. But as things went along and I started to really enjoy the process, I started taking it a little bit more seriously. And I took, one of my first clients on almost as a guinea pig. I said, okay, let me try this out. Well, my guinea pig literally lost 80 pounds.
Oh my, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's really good. So of course that led, it was kind of like a snowball effect. I organically grew as a coach. I started coaching others, and then I really found like the coaching job really gratifying. And one of the reasons why I was a police officer, because I wanted to change the world, as cheesy as that sounds, but I
Huh?
really did. I mean, that's what most of
Yeah.
us caregivers or people in policing or nursing or anything, any of the frontline work, they really care about others.
Mhm.
And I felt, although I loved my job. I loved it with a passion. I still do miss it to this day. I'm no longer a police officer, but I felt by doing what I was doing, I was changing people's lives in another way. And it was a lot more gratifying because sometimes when I was a cop, I would, do the right thing. Let's say, I don't know, send someone to jail, but then they'd come out in a week or so, and the whole cycle continued. The thing with
Mhm.
fitness or transformation, you're transforming people's lives, but you're, physically, but it's whole emotional things, psychological. There's so much more involved. And to me, I don't know, I just love it. So 5 years ago, I did organically grow over the past 10 years. And so much so that I decided to take this, this career to another level, and I left policing. And I took my passion for health and fitness to another level by, going basically full time with my online transformations, and my coaching. And I also opened up a gym in Toronto. So it's kind of like a one-stop shop type of thing. So that's my story.
That's your story, and you're sticking to it. And I
That's
really
right.
resonate with wanting to help other people as well. And that's fantastic that you were able to find something organically or kind of move into something, because I can't even imagine what it would have been like from your previous career, putting, like you said, a person in jail and then they're out a week later. So. But what I want to talk about now is what you offer as far as your classes. And as I understand, at least one or two are online now. What are those online training programs or the programs, as well as how does a person know or how do you figure out what program is best for them?
Well, kind of like everything else, it all goes through a process, I guess. So, let me take you first of all. Let's say we want to go on the online journey. So, like I said, I do offer, the in-person training, which is at my gym facility, which is called OTC Toronto. It actually stands for Optimum Training Center. So that's in Etobicoke. We've won several awards, which we're super proud of. But that's the in-person. Now, if I take you on the online course, you can reach me at nichellelaus.com. And what you would do is you would see the different services that I offer, and they're all available online. So I do have a team of coaches as well. So I'm not by myself. I have my right hand girls with me as well. And we offer different programs. My most popular ones, obviously, I think would be the customized ones. Now, I do offer a generic program that's relatively, on the lower end in terms of price. And that's because there's no accountability check-ins, and you have to kind of be self-motivated for that one. So that one you would get a whole 12-week, basically supplementation guide, nutrition guide, and a training guide. And then you also get access to kind of a members area on my website that gives you all the information. So it's a great program. It's just that you have to be self-motivated. And so if you're not and you do prefer the accountability check-ins, what we do is set you up on one of our customized plans. So the customized plans is, we go through a meeting. Sometimes, like, I haven't met any of my clients, meaning personally. Sometimes it's just all through email, or now we use Zoom as well, or we
Hmm.
can Skype. We do anything like that. And we get to know each other, and I find out their goals, for the most part, people want to lose weight and gain lean muscle. That's about 80% of my clients. And so then we kind of go over their goals, get their measurements, and let them know, and I always tell them communication is key. So if you're not liking something, you're not going to obviously enjoy it. And when you don't enjoy it, you're not going to succeed at it. So I always let them know if there's something bothering you or something you don't like, let me know right away so I can make the changes to it, whether that be to the training program or to the meal plans. And with the customized training, they check in. So how I design their plans obviously is through their goals, through their questionnaire that they fill out, and make sure they get to know all their injuries or dislikes or allergies, that type of thing. And then I design them meal plans and training routines, and I fit it all in their schedule. So if they tell me they can only work out, let's say 3 times a week, well, I'll design that program for 3 times a week. It really, really depends on the person. So that would be the online, the customized plan. And then every once in a while, I offer like a special edition of a program that's amazing because my husband's a photographer. So I do these, 8 weeks to fabulous. Get it? Fabulous, fabulous. These programs. I know you got to play with words, right? It's all about marketing.
And you know what? I was looking at it and I saw it as fabulous, but you're right, fabulous.
That's
That just
right.
went over my head. Yeah, for sure.
I got you.
Yes.
And yeah, and with the 8 weeks to Fabulous, it's amazing because I take them on an 8 week transformation. And at the end, their goal was to actually do a photo shoot with Dave. So
Mhm.
Dave is like he's actually the top published fitness photographer in Canada. So we really work well together, and his studio is actually connected to the gym. So it makes everything really run smoothly. It's like a real greatly oiled kind of engine. The gym is beside the studio. I work online, I work in person there, and it just works really well. So with the 8 week to Fabulous plan, that's that one. And that's pretty much the programs that I offer without getting too complicated. And once the girls are done, they get access to my Facebook page, which is a private network. And, I share recipes in there, ideas, and all kinds of fun stuff. And then the girls can go on a maintenance plan after where they can stay with me as long as they want.
That's fantastic, or fabulous is
That's
what it is.
right.
So with your husband and him being a photographer, did that like how did that come about with the idea of, you know, with your program and then speaking to your husband and doing the whole glamour, or I don't want to say glamour shop, but the fitness shots.
Well, it was one of those things you always have to kind of be a step ahead of everybody, right? Not everybody, but you're always going to think of new ideas as entrepreneurs. And how we ended up with the gym space to begin with was actually kind of funny because Dave was also a police officer, and as I was organically growing my online business, Dave was growing his photography business. He always had a passion for it. And, normally the fitness girls, when we get close to competitions, we look all lean and good and we all want to do photo shoots. It's just one of those things. And so Dave started taking up photography, and he ended up having a great eye for it. I mean, he is so good at it. And it's just kind of second nature to him. It just really, I don't know, he did wonderful at it. And so as he grew his business and I was growing mine, our side businesses were actually getting busier and more lucrative in that sense that he went out on his own and he started looking for a studio. And he worked at a small studio. And then once a couple of years in, he said, you know what, it's time to spread my wings and I'm going to look for a bigger space. So once he found this space, and attached to it was this big empty space, which is now OTC. But what he had in mind was a lot of the girls who would, or guys who would shoot with him always wanted a fitness look, right? Because I mean, they're fitness competitors. So we would often, he would shoot them with barbells in their hand or dumbbells, or sometimes doing, an exercise that had a fitness bench in it. So his idea was to open the studio and have a small space attached to it to put some equipment in it. Except that small space ended up turning into this big, massive space because we got a couple of friends on board who had fancy ideas and said, well, why don't you use this whole space? You may as well. And then one thing led into another, and we are signing a lease for a gym. And I'm like, oh boy. And that's really why we left our careers, because I couldn't nurture something that new and something that I didn't really know about. I wasn't never a business owner before. I was a police officer. Like, I had no idea.
Mhm.
And I decided in my head that, if we're going to pursue this and continue this on as a career, we can't have both. And yeah, I mean, and bring up four babies. This was not going to happen. So
Mhm.
that's what decided us in the end to actually leave our profession. So that's how, we ended up with the space. And so now with his photo shoot, I just try to incorporate him, into my services as much as I can, and vice versa. So if he is, selling one of his packages, let's say, because a lot of his packages are for the fitness industry, he will say,
Mhm.
because we work with several magazines internationally, he will also promote me and say, hey, if you need to get in shape for this, photo shoot, my wife does online programs, or you can come into our gym facility and actually do our classes or our personal training or semi-private training. So we kind of feed off each other and almost, refer each other. So like I said, it's a really good partnership that way.
That's amazing
Yeah,
to
thanks.
hear. Yeah, you're more than welcome. Well, let's now talk about you being the editor-in-chief of NL Women's Magazine. Can you talk a little bit about that experience and how you got to become editor-in-chief?
Well, that was interesting because having been in the industry for so long, you know, two of our friends came up to us and they had been in the magazine industry for a while, and they basically kind of came up to me and said, okay, Nichelle, what is next for you? Like, you've done covers of magazines, you've been in articles, you've, written articles, that kind of thing. So he's like, what is next in your, I don't know, in what you want to do in your goals? And I said, I don't know, like, and they had a great idea, and they're like, how about now you run your own, health and wellness magazine? And so, it's funny is it's called NL, and a lot of people think it stands for Nichelle Laus, but it actually doesn't. I mean, it almost, it's like the Oprah book, right? The O stands for Oprah. Well, NL isn't actually about my name, even though it does, sound really good. It stands for New Life, No Limits, and Next Level. So it's really it's a fantastic digital magazine, and it's about real women and their stories, their struggles, like their passions. There is some fitness in it, and but it's also about just leaderships and results in just every part of a woman's life. So in there, we cover stories, we cover, women entrepreneurs, we have article contributors, which we call the voices. So everyone kind of, it's a nice platform to connect as women and really show a strong presence, just for everyone, so that everyone can relate to us.
And how can people kind of reach out to you, whether it's through the magazine or digitally, so they can have that support?
Definitely. So NL Women's Mag, it is a digital, it's a free subscription. So all you would need to do is you can go on, we have an Instagram account, NL Women's Mag, and we also have a Facebook page, but you can also email us at info@nlwomensmag.com. So that's if you want to contribute as an article writer, if you want to be featured as a model. And when I mean model, I mean, again, it's just, we're looking for real women. We're looking for success stories and struggles, transformations, anything like that. We even have a travel section as well. We have, a best list. So, coming, let's say for Christmas, we'll give you all the, the great tips on gifts you can buy for Christmas, that kind of thing. With COVID happening, unfortunately, we didn't publish our most recent post just because everything had slowed down, obviously, because the world shut down. But we will be looking at launching another issue. And again, because it's digital and we're running it, just our small team, we had to have it just take just on the back burner for a little while, but it is still active for sure. We do plan on moving forward with it.
Yeah, and you mentioned about COVID, so I kind of want to touch on that as well. Have you had to modify anything or do anything different to do with your business as it pertains to
I
COVID?
really did. We took a huge hit in the gym, unfortunately, and now we're teeter-tottering now, literally on whether or not Ontario is going to shut down again. And we can't go down without a fight this time. I mean, we were closed since March 17th. I don't know, 5 months it was. And I mean, at one point I was counting the days it was
Yeah.
closed. It really hurt us as business owners. I think like everybody else, I know everyone has their own struggles and stories of what happened in COVID. We got hit really hard being closed. Like I said, I mean, there was nothing coming in. And now that we are reopened, and we have been reopened since stage 3, we still have people not wanting to come back. And it's just because they're scared, and I get it. They're not going to come back, or some of our
Mhm.
trainers don't have any clients, so we dropped trainers substantially. So yeah, like I read once, we're in a war. It's not the same war,
Yeah.
obviously, like our grandfathers or whatever fought, but it's a different war, and
Mhm.
we really took a beating. So, and you know what? It's like the war isn't even over. It's like we're in it still, because we still have to recover from our shutdown, and we have to rebuild. So that's going to take a while as well. But as always, I'm optimistic, I'm positive, and I believe everything happens for a reason. And I am going to fight to keep it open and be successful again.
And you know what? You already are a successful person, and that's one thing I think everyone needs to um, kind of think about during this is that everyone is worthy and everyone is successful.
Definitely.
And speaking of successful, from the time where you kind of had, as you said earlier in the podcast, a guinea pig, where they had lost 80 pounds, how has your philosophy changed in coaching or training a person from that first guinea pig up until today?
I think as I change as a coach and just evolution in general, you learn that not everything is, I don't even know how to say this, but like a blueprint. Nothing is, black. Well, it should be black and white, but when you're talking about emotional or, physical changes, emotional changes, everything changes, especially me, like having been in the industry now for, almost 20 years. I have 4 kids now, so those change, like your body changes, your hormones change, your feelings change just because of stress levels. Everything changes, so you need to overcome and adapt. So it's actually really fun because it's not like a set cookie cutter. It's not a set blueprint that you can give someone and say, here, take this and go change. You have to learn to
Mhm.
adapt to that person or to yourself in order for you to be successful no matter what you're doing.
Oh, and that's a great way to say it, especially because everyone is different and everybody does need a kind of a plan of their own at the end of the day so they can
That's
succeed.
right.
Well, Nichelle, I just want to thank you very much for being on the Libre Fitness podcast, and it is sponsored by, of course, Libre Fitness. And is there any other message that you want to get out to anybody, or maybe talk about how people can, I know you've kind of said it through the podcast, but how people can contact you for any of your business ventures?
Sure. I just want to thank, first of all, you for having me on the podcast. And I also want to thank everyone who's listening and to remember that, you can overcome any obstacle that's put in front of you as long as you want your goal bad enough. So everything and everybody can be successful in their own way. And yes, definitely you can reach me. I'm sometimes on social media. I laugh because I am. I'm on Instagram, Nichelle Laus. You can find me, and you can find my coaching at Team Laus as well. So where I feature all my clients, and then of course I have a Facebook page, Nichelle Laus Fitness, and my website is nichellelaus.com. And if you want to come out to our gym, you want to come out to our facility in Etobicoke, we are otctoronto.com. And we provide, like I mentioned before, personal training, semi-private training, or functional group classes.
That's fantastic. Well, Nichelle, thank you so much for being on the podcast. We do really appreciate it, and good luck with your
All right.
businesses.
Thanks, Cam. Have a great day.
Same to you. Bye
Bye.
bye.